Words of advice. Number one, plan for your retirement now.
Okay.
So if you can get a job that's providing you with a 401k and they match it, then you got to max that out. So I had a friend who had a 401k, they matched up to $10,000. So she would be putting in $10,000 into her 401k and they'd be putting in 10.
Wow.
So you can imagine that after about 30 years, you know, she was putting in about $300,000, and they were putting in under $300,000 plus Social Security.
Yeah.
So nowadays, though, people are going away from pensions. They're creating 401ks, things of that nature. So you want to make sure you have a great vehicle in which to put your money in. And when you're young, you can be a little more adventurous. But as you get older, you need to be a little more conservative.
Yeah.
Conservative. Health insurance. Never get the cheap stuff. Always get what you need. Make sure that you make your premiums on time, and make sure you read, and so that when you go to see your doctor, you're not going to be at the mercy of this doctor. Treat a doctor like you would a mechanic. We take your car in, you say, "Hey man, you know my car's knocking. I think I'm not sure if I need a valve job or just the cheap gas I'm putting in there." So we have a lot more information about our car, and a lot more mistrust of our mechanic than we do the doctor. He's just God. They're not. The human beings are fallible, and we need to do our homework. We need to look things up and educate ourselves and know what questions to ask. And anybody and everybody can do this. Always find yourself a good lawyer, a lawyer that you trust, and a lawyer that's really cares about the law and working for people. Credit cards. It's a great way to get in trouble.
Yeah.
And remember that having good credit means you're in debt and you're good at paying off your debt. So you want to watch those credit cards. You want to pay them. You want to pay your balance off maybe every 28 days. I believe that's the way it's supposed to work. Property. If I was you, I get together with 4 or 5, 6 of my best friends, form a corporation, and we would deposit money into this corporation and buy a condo, buy an apartment complex, something like that. But make sure you have a good lawyer to create this corporation. If you're going to go to school like at Northridge, I've known of parents who bought a house and their children lived there, and they had roommates, and the roommates were paying the mortgage, and plus the money that the parents were saving on their share of the rent. And so, and then when the kids graduated, the property appreciated. They dissolved the partnership, sold the property, dissolved the partnership, and there was money for grad school. What else? Everybody wants to get a really nice car. You know what? If you need that, buy a 2-year-old certified. Okay, you're going to save yourself a lot of money.
Let me get a Mazda. I love Mazda.
Just get a car, and you're better off putting that money into an investment. And take classes and courses on investment in stocks. And don't get too hung up about being wealthy and retiring at 30. Not that you shouldn't, but you don't want to get caught up. You want to just be able to manage your own portfolio, or at least understand when you have someone manage your portfolio, you understand what you're talking about. You know what you're talking about. Learn how to do handyman work. Learn how to do drywall. Learn how to set tile. Learn how to stucco. Learn how to frame a house. Learn how to pull electrical wiring. Learn how to change a water heater. Learn how to run plumbing.
So you don't always need to rely on someone else to take
Otherwise, you pay for that and you pay for the nose. The more you know, the more you're going to save in the long run. Travel. It's the best education. So while you're in school, I would travel.
Yeah.
You travel as a student, you stay in hostels or Airbnbs, but hostels are really cheap. Get a rail pass, you travel. The rail pass will take you anywhere, and it's good for ferry crossings and things like that.
I recently did the Camino de Santiago.
My brother and his son and seven of them did it last year.
Hostels all the way through.
Yeah, they did 180
Beautiful.
miles, and they had a blast. They had a blast, and so travel. My son and I went to Paris, Florence, Venice, Rome in 2017, and I'd gone to Europe when I was in college, and I want to go back to Spain and Portugal. I want to go back to Greece. I would love to go to the old Iron Curtain countries,
What was the best place you visited?
Greece.
Greece, huh?
Greece rocked, and Greece rocked. It was like a movie. In fact, I think they made movies about our trip. It rocked, and Greece is awesome. We had so much fun.
So much history there.
We were gone for over 2 months, and it was during the Vietnam War. Towards the end of it, Nixon was president. He was bombing Cambodia, and it was awesome. It was awesome. You know, our parents were worried about how we were going to be treated, and now we always had a lot of people hanging out, and we had fun. Went island hopping in Greece, and we just had a blast. We had so much fun. Met a lot of people.
Yeah.
Saw things. My uncle, my dad's brother, my mom's brother, he was in Europe during World War II, and my dad's brother was a bombardier, so he was stationed in England as well. And then my mom's brother, he was in England for almost a year, and then he was at I think, the third wave of Normandy and Omaha, and he's at the battle leading up to the liberation of Paris, and at the Battle of the Bulge, the Battle of the Rhine, the Battle of Berlin, and he always talked about England and France, and so my brothers, when we went, we remember him walking on. He picked up French and the Champs-Élysées and the Eiffel Tower. He didn't go to the Louvre. He went to the cabarets.
Oh, not the Louvre.
My uncle was tall, dark, and handsome. But anyways, travel now. Travel while you're healthy and you're young. And if you have the money, send it to your children so they can experience the world outside of LA.
How about having kids and finding a spouse? What do you think about those two?
Well,
maybe the second one should come first.
Yeah, you know what? Finding someone who compliments you. They don't have to be exactly like you, they just have to compliment you. You follow me? And I believe in a long courtship. You got to make sure you're going to be happy with each other. You have to have a lot of it's good to have a lot of similarities or a lot of connections, but it's also good to be different, a variety. And being married is tough. It's tough. Ask any married couple. It takes a lot of work. And it's hard. Being a parent, it's the toughest job in the world. And it's scary because you don't know how good or bad a job you did until that kid is in their 20s and it's too late to fix it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I have a son. I wish I had more, but I'm grateful I have my son. It was cool. It was very cool. For a while there, we thought we were going to be Uncle Larry and Aunt Maudie, and we served a role because there was a need for us to be an aunt and uncle to help out, to do a lot of different things. But having my son was awesome.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Do you have a top 3 list of books everyone should read? Maybe not top 3. It can be top 2, the number 1 book everyone should read. Is there something that you think is essential to the education of someone that they should go through their life and they should have read this? Counts for movies too.
I read a book called Imagining Argentina. And it was written by someone who's not from Argentina, and he writes about the period of the junta and the desaparecidos, the people who protested the junta and were disappearing left and right. And I started reading this book right before my brother passed away. And the book allowed me to heal because it's written from a very Western Hemisphere style of literature called magical realism. And a movie was made of it. The movie wasn't done very well. It doesn't do it service. But Imagine Argentina, it's a wonderful book. It's a wonderful book. A fun book is by John Grisham. It's called Playing for Pizza.
Playing for Pizza.
Yeah, and I liked it a lot. It's a short book. It's a story basically about his time in Italy, discovering how there were Italians who loved football and had amateur football teams. And he creates this whole story around the Parma Panthers. And it's called Playing for Pizza because after the game, they go to the pizza parlor and they eat pizza.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it's a short book. It's a short, 109 pages, a quick read. It's a fun book. Another one I read was by James Michener. It was called The Tell. And it's about archaeologists digging at this one mound that's called The Tell, and how throughout the diggings, they bring to life in the story the different people of the different ages, and they go deeper and deeper into this tell.
Oh, that's really cool.
It's a very cool book.
So they're excavating different parts of history constantly.
And it's being brought to life, not in actuality, but in the imagination. They discover this, and all of a sudden you enter the world. That was a great book. It's a thick book, but it was a great book.
It's really cool.
Jared Diamond's Guns, Germs, and Steel. It took me a year to read this book. Oh my God. I had to start 3 times. I reread it over because I was using my dictionary to try to understand what is it. I was trying to figure out, the words he used were like, I had never heard of them. And I read it and I loved it. It's a great book. It's a great book.
It is.
And it's
hard to get through.
It's hard to get through, but man, it is so enlightening. It really is an awesome book.
I don't know if I remember the statistic from there, but something like when when Christopher Columbus came over and landed, he signed the death warrant of untold millions of people, not just in North America, but I mean, when the Spaniards came to South America, who knows how many people were in the Amazon, in the jungle.
There've been estimates
civilizations.
that between 150 to 180 million indigenous people from the Arctic all the way down to Tierra del Fuego, and 80% of them were killed by European diseases, enslavement, execution, things of that nature. And the cultures that existed here were far more sophisticated in many respects than Europeans were.
Socially?
Well, in terms of science and mathematics, astronomy, and things of that nature.
Well, specifically in
the Mayans,
South
the
America.
Olmec.
Yeah.
The Aztecs kind of inherited everything. They're kind of like the Romans who took from the Greeks. The Aztecs did that as well.
There's not a lot of, besides like mounds and buried pyramids, there's not a lot of astrological.
Well, their calendar was far.
Cosmological sites.
Yeah, well, their calendar was more accurate than the calendar Europeans used.
Yes.
And they had discovered the concept of zero, and we would call them Stone Age technology because most of them did have stones and bones for tools, but steel, metal had been discovered in South America. But because of the geography of the Isthmus of Panama, that knowledge had barely reached parts of Central America.
Oh, yeah.
And the Aztecs had been trading with some metal, some steel, some iron things, but more as trinkets. They hadn't transferred that to the concept of weapons. And if it wasn't for the Chinese, the Europeans wouldn't have cannon. But it wasn't Cortez and his horses and his guns that defeated them. It was the diseases that they brought, smallpox, and the 3 million tributary states, 3 million Indians of the tributary states that resented the Aztecs who joined up with Cortez. Without those Indians, and the Aztecs were winning most of these wars. It wasn't until
no wonder they hated the Aztecs.
Well, the Aztecs were brutal.
They were.
But the Aztecs contracted smallpox, and that's what decimated them.
That's gone.
Yeah, and
what a horrible way. for a civilization to go like that.
And then the Spanish just
They showed up 200 years later and like,
yeah,
hey, it's empty.
it's ours. Manifest destiny.
Dibs.
European belief that because they're Christians that the Western Hemisphere was theirs to.
I think I remember learning manifest destiny in your class.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was a term we had to learn.
Like this land right here, it's owned by St. Monix of the Catholic Church, but it belonged to the indigenous people. Your home, my home, everyone who's listening, your home, that property is owned by indigenous people. And our ancestors took it from them.
Yeah.
And so
half my family.
yeah. My ancestors took away from my ancestors.
Yeah.
So your ancestors took away from your ancestors.
Stories all the time.
So anyways, Jared Diamond, Gunsters with Steel. Oh, 1421, the year the Chinese discovered America. It's a great book on the Chinese and their exploration of the world and America.
That sounds, I'm going to look that up when I get home. That sounds awesome.
Oh, there's real connection between China and Mexico.
Man.
The Chinese hairless and the Chihuahua, very similar.
No way.
Yeah, lacquered woodenware from China. The only place that does the same quality and the same caliber, same style, is in Puebla, Mexico. It's identical.
That's crazy.
Peanuts, chilies. There's been a lot of speculation as to.
That's so fascinating.
Yeah.
I mean, you hear about like the Vikings coming to America.
True.
And they talk about it like it's Vinland.
Vinland, yeah. Modern day Greenland.
Yeah, exactly.
And the climate was warmer, so grapes grew there.
Yep.
So they found remnants.
Honestly, I know we talked about it a little bit earlier, but that idea of the reset button being hit, I think our history is probably a lot more interconnected than we think.
It is.
So much is left to be uncovered.
Yeah, and if we don't stop global warming, and it's not looking good,
No,
the reset button's going to happen again.
all these fires. I mean, did you hear about the blob in the Atlantic?
Yeah.
Oh my!
It's a blob of
the Pacific.
Pacific of water,
Pacific,
right?
yeah.
Of just a blob of hot water.
It is. It's a blob of hot water. I read about it this morning. It killed up to 60,000 seabirds, between 60 and 100,000 seabirds. They washed up on the shore of the Pacific Northwest and Alaska, and
They were cooked, boiled.
and actually, most of them starved to death because the fish died. And the competition.
And what's caused it?
fierce.
What's caused this blob?
It's I don't remember what the exact terminology was, but it's got to do with the carbon influx in the sea, and it triggered some kind of, I don't know what the blob was.
Probably some kind of bacterial growth. Algae.
It had to do with some kind of negative
algae, and when the birds land, there's the lack of oxygen.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
Very,
fish died.
very, tragic, but also really cool and interesting.
Well, here's something else that's going on. As the glaciers melt, as the polar ice caps are melting, there's bacteria and viruses that have been frozen in time.
In the permafrost.
So what's going to happen to humanity when these things that go back millions of years, perhaps, are released again?
Let's just go to Mars. What are we doing? We should, I heard there's a plan to terraform Mars by nuking the North and South Pole and releasing the moisture of the ice caps. Then we leave for
who's going to be leaving? It's going to be...
Okay.
All right, so that was books.
Those books. Movies.
Ron? Movies, okay.
Movies and then comic books.
Okay, movies. Okay. Akira Kurosawa and Seven Samurai, and then you watch the original Magnificent Seven.
I love those two films.
It's a very faithful representation. In fact, Akira Kurosawa was impressed, and he felt they did him justice. And that's my favorite Western of all time. I love Westerns. My son is like, he can't handle
Westerns
that.
are amazing. I've been recently reading up on the life of Musashi Miyamoto, the Kenshi sword saint of Japan. 61 undefeated duels.
Wow.
He wrote a book called the Book of Five Rings, which is a very, very famous philosophical and technique text about his life history and about his double sword style. So cool. I didn't even know.
No. Let me tell you what other movies. There's a movie called Johnny Get Your Gun, and it's based on a book about victims of World War One, and it was written by Dalton Trumbo, I believe. Johnny Get Your Gun was written by Dalton Trumbo. Yeah, and it was inspired by a news article he read in the 30s. And when the book was written, World War II had started, so it was banned as un-American. And in the 60s, Vietnam going on, it was very big. And so a movie was made about it. And so the movie is called Johnny Get Your Gun. Read the book and then go see the movie. And the movie's great. The movie's great. They do a great job. Johnny Get Your Gun.
And what's the movie about?
It's about a survivor of World War One.
Oh,
in essence.
Okay, I just saw 1917.
Oh, wasn't that awesome?
It was.
It was incredible.
Amazing. Amazing. It was like 3 long shots for the whole movie.
I described it as being profound.
You really thought it was that good? Huh?
It was that good because it showed the horrors and the pain of these young men fighting a war that no one had ever fought before.
Yeah.
And the victimization was it the Battle of Verdun? You had 1 million soldiers die.
Yeah.
It's brutal. Or 1 million casualties. I thought it was 1 million died, but I could be off on that.
I'm about to turn you on into your new obsession, Mr. Rod. Have you ever heard of Dan Carlin's Hardcore History?
Dan Carlin.
I think he was a radio host and a journalist for a long time.
Hardcore History. It sounds familiar.
Hardcore History. The best history channel I've ever listened. It's podcasts. So it's on YouTube. It's on Apple Podcasts. Perfect for your.
I'm gonna have to look him up. I have to look him up.
His World War One segment, they're like 3-4 hour podcasts, and they come in episodes. So he lays it all out for you.
I've got a movie that everybody should watch.
Okay.
It's called Soylent Green. Have you heard of it?
It sounds familiar, but I can't.
It was made in '73, and they talk about global warming and imagine where we're going to be 2050. All right, that's what that movie's talking about.
So they call
it. And corporations run the world, and presidents are figureheads. They answer to the corporate directors.
Oh, we haven't talked about what's going on with Prince Andrew. And the fall of the royal family.
You know what? I give them credit for wanting to just be average. Excuse me.
Do you need some water?
I think I have a little bit left here.
I can.
Hold on, let me get a cough drop and we'll get me going. I give him credit for just wanting to be normal. I think the rigors of. I think if his father was the king, it'd be a little different. The Queen Mum is pretty controlling. So, and I think he's doing what his mom did because they want to live normal lives. So.
But have you heard about Prince Andrew and the Epstein connection?
Oh, you're talking about Andrew. I thought you were talking about
not William.
Oh, you mean Charles' brother, Andrew.
Not Charles.
Oh, yeah. Excuse me. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Wow.
We don't have to get into that, but
yeah,
it is. I love.
Unless there's something that her lawyers could find, he's gonna.
There's so many photos.
If they've got the goods on him, then being a royal and being a member of government, I guess in some respect, I don't think the U.S. would want to extradite him. I don't think the U.S. government wants us to go any further.
Well, what happened recently? Prince Harry left the royal family.
Well, that's what I was referring to as Harry. When you said Andrew, Harry and Meghan left the royal family, and that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
good for them.
Yeah, good for them. And that's what I thought you were talking about. I'm sorry, I got my wires
Prince Andrew.
Yeah, he was implicated. Yeah. Now, did Epstein actually commit suicide, or did someone help him?
I think he's alive. He's often. Have you seen any photos? Have we seen the video outside of his cell? Okay, the most hilarious part about it, though. Do you know who his cellmate was? A 6'4", 270-pound quadruple homicide ex-cop.
Oh, that's right.
The dude is like ripped from head to toe.
I saw the picture, and I saw his picture on Colbert, I think it was. forget what show it was. And I'm going, oh man. Yeah, the one Epstein killed himself.
I don't think he killed himself.
I don't believe he did either. It was too convenient. He was gonna spill his guts.
Even the most skeptical, like hardcore, facts-based, non-conspiracy guys are like, oh yeah, that dude was whacked.
Yeah, he was.
He had a hit on his head. But you know who? His co-conspirator. If anyone is curious about this, I highly recommend you listen to The Mysterious Mr. Epstein by Wondery on Spotify. Phenomenal podcast, gives you all of his history. Well, not all of it, but a lot of his history. And it talks about his main co-conspirator, which is Ghislaine Maxwell.
Is who?
Ghislaine Maxwell, the son of, the daughter, the youngest daughter of, what was his name? Roger Maxwell or Robert Maxwell. He was a billionaire who was also a triple agent. Worked for Interpol, MI6, and I think Ukraine.
No, you know what?
Insane.
My buddy who just called me a little while ago, he's from St. Monica's. He had been talking to me about this. In fact, tomorrow we're gonna have breakfast, I think. I know what I want to share with you guys.
Okay.
Everybody should plan for a natural disaster.
Oh yeah.
Water filters, generators, water bladders, water storage, 25-year water supply, 25-year food supply that survives that long. It's freeze dried.
I got a spot in Colorado to go to if
if you want to escape the heat and the change in environment, you got to go above 38 degrees.
Hit the mountains. That's where the shore is going to be.
Well, you're probably going to be. There may not be any snow anywhere. I mean,
no, probably not.
A good place to go probably might be the Great Lakes.
I'm pretty optimistic about it, though. I feel like
if anybody can change it,
it's us.
It's Tesla.
Elon Musk, save us.
Elon Musk is freaking brilliant. Everybody wants this guy to fail.
My dad
major corporations, they want him to fail.
I don't believe it. I can't understand it.
But this guy is revolutionary. I mean, if his boring machine bores a mile and it creates that mile tunnel right behind it, it's like
it's immune to earthquakes.
Yeah.
Because I learned about this. It's so fascinating.
It's reusable rockets.
Yep. I just saw a video of 2 rockets synced, landing at the same time. Yeah. I think it was synced to Beethoven's Fifth. It was beautiful.
That's awesome.
It was beautiful. It brought a tear to my eye.
You know what? I would like to meet that man someday. I think he's a game changer. I think there are other people like Elon Musk with that kind of vision. Mm-hmm. Ideally, if they were all to work together, imagine what they could do to change the things in terms of environment.
Yeah, I mean, what an incredible guy, what an incredible thinker. Have you seen the Joe Rogan podcast episode with him?
The what?
The Joe Rogan podcast episode with him?
No, I didn't.
Oh my God,
was it good?
So good. I don't want to give it away.
No, I'll pull it up with my son. You know, when did you watch the release, the debut of that new pickup truck?
Oh, the Cybertruck?
The Cybertruck?
Oh, yeah.
My son, he works for him. He goes, hey, we gotta watch it. And
was it 25,000 pre-orders in the first day?
250,000.
250,000.
250,000.
Although,
guess what? I'm gonna order one. I'm gonna order one.
You gotta put
if I win the lotto.
$100 is all you need to put down. That's all you need to do. So, is it 250,000 or is it 250,000 people that have put $100 in?
Well, the point is they got 250,000 orders.
That's true.
Okay.
So
they probably had to put something down.
It's like, well.
But the thing is that during the practice run, the glass didn't break.
Yeah.
But my son thinks that perhaps the window wasn't up all the way, and it had a rebound effect.
Yeah.
And then when they brought it out, the window was up all the way, and there was no give. I don't know.
I think it was a publicity stunt. I think they shattered it on purpose because when that happened, the internet went crazy. It was every single video. Everybody talked about it.
We'll never know. But I'll tell you this much: the proof in the pudding was when they hooked it up and it went up against the F-150.
Yeah.
And it pulled the F-150, and the F-150 couldn't pull away from it.
Crazy.
And then he's got that ramp.
Yep.
And he's got that electric ATV, and then the guy plugs it in, and it's $49,000. When you think about no more oil changes, no more tune-ups, none of that stuff. I mean,
he's pushing the envelope so far forward that it's gonna change our economy, because he's laying the groundwork for what comes after the cars we have.
and the sad thing is that GM had the electric car,
Yeah.
and under pressure from big oil and
GM had a 50 mpg car not too long ago.
they end up playing catch up. We should be leading the world in electric car manufacturing, and GM should be at the top.
Yep.
Anyways,
it's so strange. The interests of all of these.
what is it always about? What is it always about?
Money.
What did I teach you?
What is it always about?
It's always about the Benjamins. Remember that?
It's always about the bench.
Nowadays, but recently,
I can't believe I forgot about that. That's so true. It's 100%.
but it is true.
Yeah.
But recently, people have been using Benjamins as a derogatory term for people who are Jewish.
Really?
Yeah, the tribe of Benjamin, you know. And so, I guess I'm not sure. So in my class, I go, I really can't say just the Benjamins because I don't want someone to get the wrong idea. So I'll say the Franklins. So it's always about something related to wealth.
Always.
So, anyways,
Oh man.
been fun.
Yeah. Thank you so much for staying on this.
Oh, we're gonna do this again.
Absolutely. Next time.
And who were the guys that didn't show up? What are their names again?
Andrew Saucedo.
Andrew Saucedo. I'm gonna make sure that Miss Hanson changes your grades. You're gonna have to remake your senior year. Who else?
Jorge Tiznado.
Jorge Tiznado. I don't even know how you graduated. I say. You know how you graduated? Because your sister was going to kick your butt. I wish you guys were here. All right.
Should have been here, boys. But
this is fun.
It was a great time, anyways. Thank
I
you so much.
appreciate it. My fun. My pleasure.
You're the best. Couldn't have asked for a better interview.
Hey,
thank you so
man.
much.
That was fun.
Oh my God.